Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Madison County Board of Education. We appreciate you guys being here. I think tonight is our biggest audience ever, so we appreciate you guys coming tremendously. And we're looking forward to seeing the kindergartners and Daniel Boone. We're really looking forward to that. So I've already been outside talking to them, so we're looking forward to seeing everyone. I'm going to call the meeting to order, and Ms. Cole, would you like to read our vision, please?
The Madison County Schools, in partnership with the community, strives to equip educators and students with the skills to lead by example, develop and speak with a unique voice, and explore their academic curiosity to make a positive impact on our community and world.
So outside, there are agendas in case anybody wants a written agenda out there. I do want to let everybody know that we have received the agenda. It's been almost a week. So we have gone through the agenda already, and a lot of things we've already asked questions with Mr. Gillum and some other staff. So in case we don't ask questions, that's why you know we've already asked those questions. But we're going to start off with a showcase, our most favorite thing of the day. So.
All right. Good. So our first group with the showcase is Daniel Boone Elementary, and it's the Orphan Ensemble. The Orphan Ensemble is a group comprised of 4th and 5th grade students under the direction of Mr. Carr and Mrs. Neal, with assistance from Ms. Davis. Students meet twice a week to learn how to play percussion instruments, learn teamwork, and experience the joy of making music. This evening, the Orphan Ensemble want to present an excerpt from the song Rainbow Connection from the classic 1979 Muppet movie. Daniel Boone Orphan Ensemble.
They told me a minute ago.
Thank you, Daniel Boone Elementary. That was great, guys. Way to
Did
go.
great. Good job.
We will give them just a moment to kind of move their instruments just a little bit. So we'll take just a second.
Yes, they are. Thank goodness for wheels.
What's that?
I said, thank goodness for wheels.
Oh, yeah.
Couldn't see it. I was like, I may have to drive it. You're in the brain.
You don't have to get in the pit crew like the band has. Group of parents.
That's a lot of work.
It's a really good program.
Yeah, that's really good. There's Mr. Sexton. You guys were awesome.
Hey, Lori, Becky, I talked to them before. They told me they were really nervous. They didn't look nervous. They all said they were nervous.
No, they did great.
They did good.
Good job, Marcy. Good job.
And they're good helpers.
Oh, look at her go.
All right. Mr. Carr, thank you again. We appreciate it. They did a great job. Great job, yes.
Thank you, guys.
All right, next for our student showcase, we have students from the Caterpillar team at Madison Kindergarten Academy. They will be performing a piece they prepared from their upcoming musical program. The Appalachian-themed program will take place at 9 a.m. on April 2nd. Go ahead and put that date in your calendars. 9 a.m. April 2nd in the MKA gym. After their performance, the students will push through with Coach Young. We hope you enjoy our state song sung by these sweet voices. So we'll give them just a moment to get in here and get ready.
While we're getting ready, I'll just say a few words. My name is Corey Neal. I'm our music teacher at the Madison Kindergarten Academy, and I'm also an assistant band director at Madison Southern. I just want to say a big thank you to all the parents who took time out of their day to be here and do the performance with us, and all the faculty I see here helping me left and right, and the board. It's so awesome getting to be a part of our wonderful county and the support you guys do for music. It's getting to see it on both sides, both cities. It's so wonderful. We're going to do a couple things for you today. Our first thing we're going to do while we're almost ready, we have a special song we do as part of our kind of bell ringer for class to check and see how our voices are that day and how we're ready to go. And I think we're about ready. Boys and girls, are you ready? Okay. Remember, we have to use our head voice. So you say, head voice. You got it. Let's do our welcome song. We use this to check and make sure we're using our appropriate voice types, okay? Here we go.
Welcome, boys and girls. Welcome, boys and girls. It's so nice to have you here. Welcome, boys and girls.
started with our day. Now, our next song we're going to do is, of course, it's our state song. Boys and girls, what's that called? Now, you might notice, if you've ever seen the bands play, we have a conductor, just like my colleague did. But we do something a little different in kindergarten. We have some hand motions to help us out. So, boys and girls, let's get ready. Are you guys ready? Yeah. We're going to sing My Old Kentucky Home. Here we go.
The sun shines bright on my old Kentucky home. 'Tis summer, the people are gay. The corn tops bright and the meadows in the blue, while the birds make music all the day. The young folks row on the little cabin floor, all merry, all happy and bright. By and by, hard times come a-knocking at the door. In my old Kentucky home, good night. Weep no more, my lady. Oh, weep no more today. We will sing one song for my old Kentucky home, and for my old Kentucky home far away.
Boys and girls, very good. I'm going to turn it over to Coach Young.
One more thing. Every day here in PE, at the end of PE, we always talk about how we're going to push through things that are hard. So we want to do this for you so you can see how we push through things when they're a little bit hard. Are you ready?
Yeah!
Show me you're ready.
Yeah!
All right, ready? What if it's too hard?
I'm gonna push through!
What if it's too tough?
I'm gonna push through!
What if it's too rough?
I'm gonna push through!
What if you're too young?
That's not true!
What if you're not good enough?
That's not true!
I believe in you.
Chin up!
Why?
I can do anything I put my mind to!
You all are awesome. Let's give it a
That is great.
We need to say that before our meeting.
That was a serious room clearing. Serious room clearing. That was great.
I think we found our new vision. Yeah, we found our new vision. We can do anything we put our mind to.
That's right. That was great.
Vision Part B.
Yep. I heard that.
And I had to park it walk down the hill in the mud. We're gonna have to have a workshop.
So
I already
there
got
were
on
two
him.
spaces out here about that wide
Somebody
on each
put
side of
their
his truck.
big
I bet money when we go out there, there's nobody in the parking
No,
lot.
now.
It's just made for so much fun.
Not now.
Music. Got it.
All right.
He's good.
I know it. I told Damon that's our new vision statement. Part B.
That fun.
For a day. For a day.
They are. And you're just doing good stuff out there. Good grief.
That was
really good.
beautiful.
All right. I think we're about settled down there. All right. That was a lot of fun, though. Really enjoyed that. We're ready to move on when you are, if you're ready.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for coming. I know a lot of people have cleared out, so we appreciate those of you that have stayed. The next thing on our agenda is recognition.
All right. So, first with our staff recognition, this month's Sparkling School Award. It's being presented to Madison Central High School. Custodians Lloyd Walker, Robert Parks, Richard Parks, Darrell Little, Peter Villanacci, Dennis Hendricks, Connie Scott, Philip Johnson, Jimmy Smith, and Paul Carter have done an excellent job this school year. Congratulations to our Sparkling School Award winners, Madison Central High School. Come on down, guys. We have a certificate for you, and then we'll get a picture made. All right, it's probably gonna be backwards. Yeah. Okay.
Robert, Richard, Darrell, Peter.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Good job.
That's that would be up to these guys whether they want Mr. Fritz in there or not.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you. Great job there, guys. I know that's a huge job, the size of that school and the number of students and staff you have to clean up after, so thank you very much. Our next staff recognition is the Food Service Award, and the February Food Service Award goes to Madison Central High School as well. Madison Central's cafeteria staff has worked very hard to raise the bar and create restaurant-quality meals. With farm-fresh ingredients, they have demonstrated their ability to create great food, which ensures the quality meals students are sure to eat. So thank you, Madison Central Cafeteria. And then last on our staff recognition, we have a special recognition tonight. Tonight we are pleased to recognize Madison Central Principal Brandon Fritz. This is Madison Central night. Come on down here, Mr. Fritz. Mr. Fritz was nominated for board recognition by his staff for being caring, supportive leader for the students and staff. Specifically, last month, one of the teachers at Madison Central had a medical emergency at home before school. Mr. Fritz was made aware that this teacher had not reported to work and was not answering the phone. He became very concerned. Mr. Fritz was aware that this teacher has a serious medical condition that could be life-threatening, so he made a decision to do a home visit. When he arrived, Mr. Fritz discovered that the teacher was in distress and was able to call 911 for help. Mr. Fritz will tell you that he was simply doing the right thing. Others will tell you he acted heroically and that his actions that day saved the life of a staff member. Mr. Fritz has proven himself to be more than caring and supportive. He is a loyal and dedicated leader, and we're humbled to honor Brandon Fritz tonight. Thank you, Mr. Fritz.
We don't get to pull off very many surprises, so that's fun
Yeah, that was
and
good.
well-deserved.
Absolutely.
Very good.
Yes.
Is that all the recognition?
That's it for recognition. Mhm.
All right, next on the agenda is audience comments regarding our agenda. And we don't have anyone that's asked to do that. So next thing is the consent agenda, items to be approved. So first thing is the minutes of the January 23rd budget meeting. Claims, the record of the superintendent's personnel actions, the leave of absence, Section 504 chairpersons, the Family Resource and Youth Service Center assurances, the Certified Evaluation Plan committee members, review of the school activity fund reports, a shortened school day application, and the following out-of-state field trips. The Madison Southern High School Air Force Junior ROTC trip to Perfect North in Lawrenceburg, Indiana on February 22nd. The Madison Southern High School Band Winter Guard trip to Milford, Ohio on March the 7th. The Me Michael Cottle Middle School 8th grade trip to Washington, D.C. April 4th through the 8th. The Madison Central and Madison Southern High School Community Work Transition Program trip to the Cincinnati Zoo on April the 30th. The B. Michael Cottle Middle School 7th and 8th grade band trip to Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, April 30th through May 1st. The Area Technology Center FBLA trip to Kings Island on May 13th. The Clark Moores Middle School Renaissance trip to Kings Island on May 18th. The Clark Moores Middle School band trip to Holiday World, Santa Claus, Indiana on May 19th. Are there any questions? That's a long list. All right, if not, I need a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
All right, Ms. Coyle,
Second.
second by Mr. Rutherford. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those not in favor? Motion carries. Next on the agenda is the action agenda. 7A, to approve the Headstart transportation agreement. Is there anything before we begin that you'd like to talk about,
This
Mr.
is
Gillum,
just,
on
this is just simply our agreement with Headstart Head Start's a federal program for our preschool students, and we provide, it's ran by an outside agency, Central Community Action Partnership out of Fayette County. We provide transportation, they reimburse us for that, so that's all it is.
All right, are there any questions? All right, if not, I need a motion to approve the South Central Head Start Transportation Intra-Agency Agreement as presented.
So moved.
I'll second.
All right, there's a first and a second by Mrs. Brock and Mrs. Cobb. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those not in favor? Okay, motion carries. 7B, to create and ratify 1.0 elementary teacher at Kingston. The rationale is this position will be paid for by using the Kingston Title I funds.
So moved.
All right,
Second.
all right. Mr. Rutherford and Ms. Brock seconds. Any other questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those not in favor? Motion carries. Next is 7C, to create and ratify 1.0 para position at Kingston. The rationale is this position will be paid for using Title I funds. Are there any questions?
And this is the partner to the teacher we just approved, correct?
Yeah, it's a paraeducator and a teacher. They're both going to Kingston. They receive Title I funds, which are school funds. They can choose to spend those, and so as they enter into the second half of the year, they just want a little extra support in the classroom. Yeah, so that's why they wanted to create those two positions.
Any other questions? All right, we need a motion to create and ratify a 1.0 paraeducator position at Kingston Elementary School.
So moved.
All right, there's a first by Mrs. Cobb, second by Mr. Rutherford. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those not in favor? Okay, motion carries. 7D, to create and ratify a .5 pre-K teacher at MKA. The rationale is that the preschool funds will be used for this position. Any questions? I know we don't sometimes get a lot of questions because we've already asked those. I know I mentioned that earlier, just so that you guys know that. It seems like we're running through this fast, so. All right, I need a motion to create or ratify a .5 pre-K teacher at Madison Kindergarten Academy.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so the motion's been made by Mrs. Brock, second by Mrs. Coyle. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion carries. 7E, to create or ratify a 4-hour pre-K para at MKA. The rationale is the position is funded by the preschool funds.
And this would be a para, preschool classrooms have a teacher and a para that accompanies them. So as we open up that, the students qualify and we open up that classroom, we have to provide those teachers. And students qualify throughout the year too. So we always increase our number of classes
Right.
in preschool.
I know Mr. Gillum and I just talked about this yesterday. So. Any other questions? All right, I need a motion to create or ratify a 4-hour pre-K paraeducator position at Madison Kindergarten Academy.
So moved.
Second.
All right, there's been a motion made by Mrs. Brock, second by Mr. Rutherford. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion carries. 7F, to create, ratify a .5 LBD teacher at Kirksville.
So moved.
All right,
Second.
all right. Mr. Rutherford made the motion, Mrs. Cobb seconded it. Any other questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those not in favor? All right, motion carries. 7G, create, ratify 2 full-time sub bus drivers. Any questions? All right, I need a motion to create, ratify 2 full-time substitute bus driver positions.
So moved.
Was that you? All right, Mrs. Coyle made the motion.
Second.
All right, second by Mr. Rutherford. Sometimes you sound alike over there. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion carries. 7H, approve mowing contract. So I know that, you want to explain this? Do you want
I
me-
would be, yeah, I'd be glad to.
Okay.
So what we've been doing is trying to look at options where we can maximize our, I guess, our custodial staff and everything else, maintenance staff across the district. And so we've outsourced part of our mowing, and in this particular case, we're looking at schools that we'd really gain the most benefit through outsourcing. And so right now, we have 5 schools that we did an RFP, request for proposals, regarding the mowing of these 5 schools, which are Whitehall, Kit Carson, Daniel Boone, Clark Moores, and Bellevue Learning Center. And we had a few bids that came back on that, 3 or 4, I think. And we evaluated those, and Ballard Property Maintenance was the low bid, was the best bid. They were also the low bid. And, you know, as we look at that, one of the reasons that we have looked at the outsourcing is just simply focus is one of our things that we're focused on is making sure we maintain good, clean facilities. And mowing and custodial work sometimes compete with each other in terms of time. So this allows us to better service our schools.
I'm sure we could have asked the central
Absolutely.
custodial
yes,
position.
because-
I'm sure they're very happy.
Yeah,
not
they
to
are.
do
We
this.
outsourced that one a year ago. So.
Yes.
And these are annual contracts, correct?
These, well, they are. They're
That's an
they're
annual
actually
price.
the price is per, the total price there that you see is per mowing. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah. So it's, but then
Oh, I see.
we can cancel at any time, effectively. Yeah.
Is this the same mower that we're using on the other schools? Or is this different?
Nope, this is a different one, yes. These bids, that individual, that company did bid, they were able to beat them by a little bit, so, yeah.
So we have the ability, if, say, it's been super dry and it doesn't need to be mowed.
That's
To
in,
say.
that is in the contract,
Perfect.
absolutely, yeah. And they actually, Mr. Cash is the one that contacts them, so they're on a weekly schedule, but if we want them to hold up, he just makes one phone call and says, we're not mowing this week, we're putting it off for a couple weeks. And we did that a few times last year, we had that big dry spell during the summer.
All right, any other questions? I need a motion to approve and award the mowing services contract for 5 schools: Whitehall Elementary, Kit Carson Elementary, Daniel Boone Elementary, Clark Moore's Middle, and Bellevue Learning Center to Ballard Property Maintenance.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, there's been a motion by Mr. Rutherford and a second by Mrs. Brock. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those not in favor? All right, motion carries. Next is 7I, instruction. We're going to have our instruction report. Our elementary staff will be here. Speakers are our principals, Starla Brown with Kirksville Elementary, Jennifer Martin with MKA, and Eddie Sexton with Daniel Boone. Welcome.
Hello. I am Starla Brown, the principal at Kirksville Elementary. And I am here tonight with these two fabulous human beings to tell you about the great things that are happening in all the elementary schools. So I'm going to talk about multi-tier system of supports, or MTSS. And what that is it's a framework that is created to provide support to struggling students. But it doesn't just focus on academics, it focuses on the whole child. So in the past, you may have heard people talk about RTI, or that tiered system of support for students relating to academics. And so how that works is we have a universal screener that will identify students that need extra support. So then we have tiers in which we provide that support. So like tier 1 would be the instruction that all students receive. And then tier 2 would be a smaller group setting with an evidence-based method or strategy. And then it would move up to tier 3 if they needed more intense support, which would be a smaller group, and the frequency of the intervention would increase. So what the district is doing now, which I'm so grateful for, and I think everyone is they have created teams, a district team, which is led by Mr. Reister, Mike Reister, and beyond that team, we have created school-level teams, and then those school-level teams go back and report to their grade-level teams. So, like for Tier 1, which is really just what we're getting into, and some schools it's called positive behavior intervention and supports. So some schools were doing this very well, and some schools needed more support, and maybe we had some components of it, but not all of them. And maybe the components we had needed to be strengthened. So that's what we've been doing. So for example, with that, we have created at Kirksville a Blue Jay Day. So I know it's something like the middle schools have had in place for a while, but elementary schools, maybe some have and some haven't, but we did not. And what that is students will receive leader tickets, because our motto at Kirksville is to lead, love, learning, encourage others, achieve my goals, and do what is right. That's right, Ms. Cobb knows that. And so they earn leader tickets, and it's focused on behavior, academics, and attendance. So we have a rally or a celebration every 9 weeks based on the number of leader tickets that a student has received. So another thing that goes with that Tier 1 piece for behavior is common area lesson plans, so that all students are aware of what the expectations are in the hallways, on the bus, in the cafeteria. And I'm trying to think of any other things. There's lots that we're doing. We're meeting once a month, our school level team, and we are, like, currently we're working on the behavior incident report and making sure that we've aligned that with our school-wide behavior chart that every class has, and they're all the same, so that we have that consistency. But we're deciding what is a major infraction, what is a minor infraction. So what would warrant, coming to the principal's office, or the consequence. So that's just the beginning of what we started with Tier 1. We do have staff in the building that are more experienced with Tier 2 interventions, like our counselors and maybe our highly structured classroom teachers who use zones of regulation. That's just one research-based method that we use, but we don't consistently have that throughout the building, and we don't consistently have that throughout the district. So we are working on that, and we need it so very much. And so I just want to say thank you to Mr. Gillum, Dr. Gillum, for starting that, and Mr. Reeser for leading that. Mr. Reeser comes out to our monthly meetings at Kirksville and tries to help us as well. Oh, and our school psychs are there on our teams as well, so, and our counselors. So thank you. It's a great thing, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the work. So thanks.
Do all of the schools have that?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
TSS teams.
All of the schools?
Yes, we're starting it. So our counselors, you know, they help us a lot because they do have that training, and there's a little bit of there's a big focus on trauma-trained practices as well. So it's all intertwined and needed so very much. I can't say enough how much we need it, and I'm just so excited that we're doing it. This
So
work.
about how many people are on a team?
We have. I'm not sure that every school has their teams designed this way, but I would say that they're very similar. Our counselor, our school psych, and one representative from each grade level, and myself, and a special education teacher as well.
Yeah, that's good. That's
Do
a
you
good
feel
mix.
like with the inception of these teams that the kids' behavior, if it's a behavior issue or a learning issue, is identified earlier and addressed?
Yes, I do.
And they're not falling through the cracks? It's
Yes,
more cohesive.
yes, and I feel like
I
we.
had heard that from a staff member, and so I wanted your perception of it as well.
I do very much, and I feel like we had a really good handle on the academic piece of that, and a pretty good handle on the behavior piece, but we needed a little more help, and so we're doing that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Like Mr. Sexton's
Good evening.
tie.
Another great initiative that the district has been able to offer us is our MDC work that we're doing with our math teachers. And MDC, the Math Design Collaborative, it's pretty much it provides an instructional framework for our teachers. It's, hey, these are some best practices when working with kiddos in math instruction. And we've known for the last several years, maybe more, that we needed to change the way that we teach math to our kids. And through the MDC work that the district has been able to offer the schools that are participating in this, it has been eye-opening for me. Math is not my area of expertise, so with me as a principal being a part of this work, it has helped me better provide support for our math teachers in the building. A couple of the initiatives through the MDC work is making sure that as teachers we're clarifying our goals, our learning goals, that we're sharing them with our kids, and that we're providing a success criteria for them, letting them have that roadmap. Hey, here's where we want to go. Here's how we're going to get there. Also, making sure that we're facilitating effective discussions with our kiddos. The days of just math worksheets, coming in, sitting down, that drill is over, gone to the side. We've used a logo with our MDC work. You know, those who are doing the most talking are doing the most learning. So getting that teacher, helping that teacher become more of that facilitator, and letting the kids learn from each other, and show some ownership of their learning and being a resource for each other. And to watch elementary kids show ownership of the learning and knowing that they're a math resource has this. I mean, I very much invite you to come out and see some of the MDC work that we're doing in our classrooms. Feedback, helping our teachers provide feedback that moves learning forward. You know, have you thought about this? What about this strategy? What about using this manipulative for this, you know, help with this word problem? And as an administrator, for me, with the teachers and the MDC work the district's provided us, is a growth mindset for our teachers. They are excited about teaching math. I actually had a teacher, this is back right before Christmas, called me on Saturday. I think, well, something's wrong. Mr. Sexton, I've got to tell you about this math activity that I've got. And here's how it's going to help kids learn. And I was like, wow, they're getting it, because they tell me all the time, we're teaching. I'm like, well, what are the kids learning? What are the kids learning? But, I had a teacher call me on the weekend excited about a math activity they're going to do this Monday. I give credit to the MDC work that we're doing. We meet monthly in a team PLC. It's very structured. Ms. Hunter leads that work along with Ms. Lakes. So it's really been a great coaching session for me as a principal to come over and watch Ms. Hunter facilitate one of these PLCs, but that's involved with the MDC work with those math teachers right there. So and as me, I love to talk, but that structure allows me to sit back and, just like the teacher in the classroom, facilitate that discussion. Because what we want our teachers to do is be a resource for each other, just like we want our students to be a resource for each other. And having teachers set goals and say, hey, as a team, I think here's a goal that we can reach for and that we can celebrate a win. And that's something that's, we've been talking about our PLC work, getting that up and going. The NDC work that we're doing has really helped that take off. In those meetings, asking a question, and Ms. Hunter reminds me, wait time. And we say all the time, she is the queen of wait time. Asking a question, but we talk about productive struggle for our kiddos, but also our teachers. It helps benefit them and grow them to sit and think about, where do we need to go next with this standard? Where do our kids need to go next based on the learning from the previous day? So it's really been a great growth process for me to learn more about math and how I can better help assist my teachers in the classroom. Also, we've seen a big growth in teachers being reflective in their learning. We have a math coach, being part of the NBC work, we have a math coach in the building. And that math coach goes in and they do a 20-minute observation with those bid team members, and they collect data, and they go back and they share that data with the teachers. And the teachers get to set goals based on that data that they want to improve on. So it's not, Mr. Sexton coming over and saying, I need to actually improve on this, I like to see improve on this, but they get a lot more direct feedback from that math coach, and are able to reflect upon that. And then when I go in and do my formal observation and we talk, what the NDC work comes up, those math teachers, and we end up talking a lot about best mathematical practices in instruction. And the discussions that I'm able to have with teachers now, compared to before we started the NDC work, is so much more rich than what it was. And that's just me being honest with you before we started the work. Teachers, another thing I've seen as an administrator is, teachers seeking out resources themselves. And, they're great about borrowing or going to the math coach, but now they're actually designing some of these activities themselves. And with Teacher Pay Teacher and the internet, it's really easy to go out there and pull somebody else's work, but they're sitting down and designing that work themselves. So they have that ownership. Hey, this is my activity. This has these 5 best mathematical practices, and they're proud of that, and I'm very proud of that. And you can go in any of our schools that has implemented the MDC work, and one of the great things that we get to do when I get to go to other schools and do a little 10-minute MDC Otis walkthrough, and look at some great practices. When I go to Kirksville, when I go to Kit Carson, Silver Creek, I'm like, wow, there is some great mathematical instruction going on in Madison County right now. And since the implementation of the MDC work, it's helping us. I've seen in my iReady scores a closing of that gap between, reading seems to always be up here. Math has seemed to fall down here. What that MDC work has helped us do is, when I look at my growth, here's my reading growth. Before the MDC work, here was my math. Well, here's my math growth, getting up there close to that reading. And when we look at those scores as a school, the math teachers are like, wow, you got math growth up there.
This works.
And we're seeing a jump in student placement from being 2 levels behind to the majority of them being, if they are not on grade level, they're only 1 level behind. So, there was a lot of red looking at that intervention screener with iReady before we started the MDC work, and I like it when you have to squint to see the red on the intervention screen. There's a lot of green, there's a lot of yellow. Because our teachers can really make some groundwork with our kiddos who are only 1 grade level behind where they need to. When our kids get 3 and 4 levels behind grade level, it's really hard to get them caught up, but they can do it. But the MDC work that we have going on right now is, it's great to go into a classroom and they're looking at student work and they're saying, what do you think about that? Here's their work, and kids offering their opinions. We'll say, hey, I think there might have been a strategy may have worked better with this one. We went into a first grade classroom, had a teacher share this just on Monday with me. He said, we go in and we get up at work and a kid presented their work and their kids are learning how to have great conversations, critiquing work. A little first grader said, well, I disagree with that. and here's why. And she did it in such a way that the kid's work that was up there said, yeah, you know what, you are right with that. So being a resource for each other, when you have first graders being a resource for each other, you have wonderful things happening in the classroom. But I just want to give you a little snippet on what we're doing with the MDC work, and it has been wonderful for me growing as an administrator, and also for the teachers. They are excited about their work, a lot more collaboration going on between them. And when you go in that classroom and you have kids smiling, hey, are we going to do math? Are we going to do math? It's great. So I invite you to come out, say, Eddie, let's go see some teachers that are involved in the MDC work. Let's see what that looks like. Thank you.
Thank you. We want to thank you too for having us all out to Daniel Boone for World Read Aloud Day. So we appreciate you inviting us.
Thank you.
It was a lot of fun.
That's great. I kind of feel like that this has felt like kindergarten tonight because you've heard a lot of letters and MDC and MTSS and those mean a lot. Well, I'm going to talk about a few letters too.
To say OMG on all of
OMG on all of that. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
well, I'm going to talk about a few
dictionary
letters. And if you'll give me just a second, I want to share this. We have a lot going on at the Kindergarten Academy. I want to give Eddie, the first graders that are going in, being ready to talk about learning. And all of these initiatives that we've talked about tonight, they are not silos. They're not separate entities. They actually are really helpful to one another. There's a lot of common language between them. And I do think that that's what's been really good about what the district has helped administrators really focus on. It has been it's okay to say narrow because that's what helps us get good at things. And I think that's what's happening in the district. I'm excited to be an MDC school one day. I think it's going to help our work that I'm going to talk about tonight along. But I'm here to talk about continuous classroom improvement, which the three letters you're going to hear, thank you, are called CCI. And that initiative is not new to the county. That has been an ongoing process. And MKA, it's been there for at least 3 years. We started as one small team, and the teams consist of basically 4 teachers. Back 3 years ago, we sent 4 teachers to basically dip their toe into what it would look like for a kindergarten classroom to talk about what am I learning, what strategies do we use, and how does it help us learn. And I want to tell you something, that is a big effort to kindergartners who basically talk about liking everything. I like your shoes. I love you, Miss Martin. I like your ponytail. That's kind of what we come in with at first, and then we start to hone kids' language to talking about strategies that help them learn, and we give them some academic vocabulary to help them understand what that means. And I've got a small video of the process where you get to actually hear and see how does a kindergartner talk about it in the month of February. So it takes us a little while. We teach Tier 1 expectations. Thank you. Oh, we're getting there. To begin with, so MTSS is at work at Kindergarten Academy as well, and it takes us a little longer. A lot of them have not done school yet. Thank you so much. So when we get started in that MTSS work, we basically start with what we call missionizing the classroom. And if I can show you the board. All of this work is taken from Nikki O'Donnell's room, but every single classroom at MKA is a CCI classroom. So we have full implementation in our building. That started last year. So most of the building is in year 2 of that work, and that has some PD that's attached to that. And if I'm going through this and you have any questions, you stop me, and I'll explain that a little further, because I know this is a lot of letters and a lot of knowledge, but you can see this in most Madison County schools too. So we missionize the children in the first semester. This work takes place around September or October, and what it's doing what the goal of this is to build the classroom community, to talk about we learn as a team, we do everything together as a team, and eventually we're going to goal set as a team. And so those little thumbprints with their names on it are a way for them to own that mission statement in that classroom. You'll see PBIS's Tier 1 is live and well, and we talk about those expectations, and they're repeating them in their mission statement: respectful, responsible, and safe. And then after that work, we start to talk to the kindergartners about what's your job here? What are you supposed to do as a kindergartner in the kindergarten academy when we're talking about student work? And if you notice, there are a lot of words there. They don't read in October. Those words are actually there for the teachers to remind them of things to say. So if you notice, I blew that up so you could see those are the kindergarten standards that are for math, and those are basically the majors of the domain work in math. But this is what it looks like on the board. So you see the visuals are there. The kids can't read those words, but if you were to come up to a kindergartner and look at a CCI bulletin board, and I'll flip through, these are the kindergarten reading standards that we want them to achieve. And again, if you look at those pictures, they can tell you what those things mean. So at the kindergarten academy level, it's very different looking than what you would see in even upper elementary, middle school, and high school. Those kids could probably recite some of their standards to you, and that's not our goal. We want them to understand kind of the major work of what their job is. You need to learn what your names of your shapes are and how they go together. You learn those because there's work later in life you might do, engineering. We have that kind of talk in the classroom. So that's what those pictures mean. As we move forward, we get into goal setting. All the kindergartners take a diagnostic test in the fall, winter, and spring, just like everybody else in the county. We use iReady, just like everybody else in the county. And here's what we say. I have this saying to teachers. I don't know if they say it to the kids, but I say it to my teachers all the time. We want them grown and we want them green before they leave kindergarten academy. So that's a visual. That's straight off iReady. They use that circle graph. That is something that principals can look at. And they know when they go to take iReady that that's what they're looking for. Now, the kids who already come in green and already know they're green, because we're not putting individual names up of anybody. Remember, the class is working as a goal, as a community to work together. So that's why we talk about growth. The difference being in a CCI classroom, you're talking about proficiency, not growth, for goals. So everybody's goal to be easy in math is going to be being green in iReady. Here's what they show them when they take their fall diagnostics. So just what Mr. Sexton was talking about. Can't be red in kindergarten because you can't be 2 grades below, so you all know that. That's what that math data looked like in the fall. And then at the bottom, that's what that particular classroom's data looked like in the winter. And not all the standards are taught at this time. I always remind the teachers of that too. But we want to see that growing. We don't explicitly teach graphic representation to the kindergartners. It's actually not part of our standards. But I want to tell you something. Kindergartners know what that means. They look at graphs and they know, oh my gosh, look how much more green there is to yellow. We must be learning. They celebrate those things, which I think is exciting. Then we break things down in what we call short-term goals. Those standards that we talked about earlier, we call those in the Shipley system Big Rocks. And this is our small data. This is the little bitty goal setting that every classroom does to reach the goal of being grown and green. So this particular cycle that this teacher is going through, they're in an addition subtraction unit right now, and that's what they're working on for mathematics. So it's called Plan, Do, Study, Act. The classroom comes up with a plan. This is what we're working on. The do, this is the beauty of it right here, the system at work. And I say this, we don't do CCI, we use CCI. CCI is a system, it's not a curriculum. We don't buy anything to do it. We're just basically using the collective wants of the students, and we goal set. It's really what it is in a nutshell. Now we're focusing on Tier 1 data, that standards-based curriculum when we do, or use, when we use CCI. So Miss O'Donnell has some iReady games that she takes some time with, and she plays with them during some Tier 1 time. The students wanted to use manipulatives at another time to actually learn that plan of addition and subtraction within 5. Is that making sense? Yeah. So it's set up in a lot of different ways. We've settled in PLCs, and we use CCI as a framework for that too. So we've taken a year and we've talked about what the Marzano high yield strategies look like. And we actually have these big faculty meetings because that's kind of some heady, lofty kind of work. What does it mean for a kindergartner? And so kindergartners, they might not be able to say non-graphic representation, but they can tell you, I like to use the red and blue counters, and then they talk about how it helped. And that's kind of the ground that we are trying to plow, so that as they move through first, second, and third grade, they're ready to keep talking in that common language. Study. This is where the rubber meets the road. You'll see all those clothespins there on the side, and they do this time after the cycle, which runs between 5 and 10 days. They take their data, which is normally a small formative piece. It could be an interview-based piece for kindergarten sometimes. Or it can be pencil to paper, and we share data not with individual names but as a group. Now, that teacher meets with those kids individually just very quickly. Those kids get to move those clothespins, and they know, did I meet goal or not? The goal for most of the classrooms is 100% for that cycle. I have yet to find kids who get destroyed because they've not met a goal. And it's because they have laid such a foundation for yet. You're not there yet. It's okay, you got 3 out of 5. You're getting there. That is the language that kids meet. So nobody's rolling in the floor over that. Now, they might be rolling in the floor for some other reasons in kindergarten, but it is not over that I've seen. The nice thing is, too, as you see that graph, the teacher is taking standards work, and you can see right there, again, I'm going to tell you, we don't teach that standard looking at graphs, and we don't do interpretations of graphs. But kindergartners can look at that and know, look at us. In that purple cycle right there, we were rocking and rolling. And so they get to talk about strategies that maybe help them learn more. And what was it? Now, see, I'm just blowing that up a little bit more. This is the math graph. And again, they are working through numeral ID, counting forward. And I want to say, I'm reading right here, that purple graph, that 100% class goal met is subtraction within 5, which is really, really difficult, to be quite honest, with the kindergarten classroom. It's a hard concept for them at first. They can add everything. Talking about less is difficult at first for them. So the act part of this, and it'll be easier for you to see whenever you see the video, is they talk about what helped me learn, and if they didn't do as well on the graph, if it didn't reach that proficiency goal, what was it that we can do better? Or what strategy might we use differently to help us learn? That sounds so good standing here saying that right now, but it is really laying, I want to say that again, we are like plowing the dirt for language at this level. But the kids love goal setting together, they love picking strategies together, and they do like talking about classroom work. I have a video, this is Miss O'Donnell. She knows that I'm showing this tonight. And this is just 1 minute, it's the beginning of what that cycle, Plan, Do, Study, Act, when they have done their formative to check their goals. This is them talking about what helped you learn. And you can kind of hear how we have to help them come up with the language of how do I help you learn. So I'll show you this.
Maddie, what helped us? So, is it just hearing you say the long vowel?
It is 1 minute. I'll rewind it if I have to.
What about the chart help?
Can you try again? I'm scared to touch anything. This was a 7-minute long video. So again, I didn't want to show you 7 minutes because right now we're still in that phase of them talking about, I like the chart. I like manipulatives. I like
the chart.
You.
Maddie, what helped?
And you'll hear her keep leading their conversation to how does it help you learn? How does it help you learn?
Thank goodness for Jacob. Just the chart. Maddie, what helped us?
The long vowel sound.
So, is it just hearing me say the long vowel sound? Or you said the long vowel sound? What about the chart helped?
It helped me, but my brain was saying the sound.
Your brain was saying the sound. So if I said A, and then I said acorn, your brain said it too. You heard it in your brain. That works too. The chart helped us, let's say, to hear the long vowel sound. How about that? Does that work? How else? Does anyone have another way that the chart helped our learning? Because obviously it did. Look at our plus side. So many clips on that side. Lillian, how did?
So again, small sample. We use this word, we have to manipulate them a little bit. They don't have the language of academia yet. That's tier 3 vocabulary. They're just not there yet. But I do think that our teachers do a fantastic job. This is just year 2 for most of them. They're still internalizing how to use the system in tier 1 and quite frankly not feel like they're doing something extra, like it's a curriculum piece. And that's part of my job. It's part of me going in and just having simple conversations. It's trying not to make the work bigger than it needs to be. They're just systemizing the standards and they're including kindergartners in that process. That's literally all CCI is in a nutshell. I think it's phenomenal. If kindergartners can do it, anybody in this district can use the system. I believe in it. So, last slide I have for you. This is just a little bit of data. I'm always like, well, so what? so what we're using it. And so, small data that help us get to big rocks, it's also part of our CSIP plan of how we teach children to read. And right now, 72% of all of our kids know all their letters. When children coming in, the data at the beginning of the year was 98% did not. So 72% know all their letters, and that was 2 weeks ago. 63% know all their sounds. This is foundational work that has to be done for an emergent reader. If we don't have this, you are not going to have children who can read to learn. 50% are on level right now, according to the math data, and that's school-wide level in math. And right now, 64% of our kids are on green in reading as of winter data. 64% of kindergarten on green in reading. CCI is a part of that completely. It is a lot of work. It's a lot of work to teach them academic language, but I mean, you can see, you can train them to do anything. I really believe that. So I'm proud of them. I appreciate the support that we've had. There are lots of people who are here to help with CCI. I appreciate that the initiatives of the district are also, they're just commingled together. There's a lot of common language between what we do in MTSS. I hope that the language is common in MDC. I'm not part of that yet, but it's exactly what it sounded like Mr. Sexton is talking about too. Goal setting with kids. Kids can do things when they know what they're supposed to be learning. CCI opens the doors to that. And I think it's fantastic. Yeah. Any questions? All right. Thank you all so much.
Thank you all.
Yeah. Yes.
I could sit here and listen to you all tell us the success stories for days. So we're very appreciative of all that you three do. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And I could go sit in that classroom and watch that all day too. That was good. I agree. Okay. Next, Mr. Woods with our finance report. That's hard to follow.
I always get the tough acts to follow.
You do. We're sorry.
Good evening. We'll start with our reconciliation. As of January 31st, we ended with a reconciled balance of $50,821,152.56. You can see as compared to this time last year, it is slightly up. We've talked about this. We have some construction funds, nearly 2 years worth at this point, that we'll be transferring over once we get through our bid for the career centers. So we'll move those funds over. We're holding those back to be able to apply to that so that we bond less. Of the reconciled balance, we have $5,740,990.65 in investments. That is quite a bit higher from where it was last month. We did open the CDs with Fork Bank, and our rates now are ranging from 2.0 to 2.6. We're going to hold those till the end of the year. Most of that is tax money. As it comes in, we try to invest heavy during this time so that we can maximize earnings and then have the money so it'll mature over the summer when we need funds the most. In your board packet, you also had a copy of the balance sheet and the revenue and expense report that you received last week. Continue to look through those, look through the revenue and expense report. I watch all the percentages on that. We're on track with all of our expenditures and doing really well. We're collecting our tax revenue at a good rate, even though we're a little behind. When the collection started, we have picked up and we are collecting really well on that. Any questions?
Just answered my question.
He read your mind. Is that it?
Great job on those investments.
Thank you.
Yes.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, that's some negotiating.
All right, thank you. All right, so we need a motion to approve the monthly financial reports as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, good. Mrs. Brock made the motion, Mrs. Cobb seconded it. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those not in favor? All right, motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Woods.
Thank you.
Anything else?
In the fifth, third.
Next, we have.
Oh, yes, you're doing that too. Sorry, I should have known that. All right, to approve the agreement with Fifth Third Bank.
This is the active card integration payments. It's a new method of making payments that we discussed at the last board meeting. We'd like to bring it to the board for approval so that we can get started and get this set up. It will allow the district to earn money on purchases that we are already making. Doesn't change our process at all, just a different mode for making the payments.
How long did you say the implementation would be?
They said when I asked Fifth Third, they said full implementation will be around July. We will get some where they have some partners already on with other districts. We'll be able to get on those quickly, but it takes time. They try to work with our staff so they don't burden the staff with making phone calls to vendors to get all this set up.
Any other questions?
I think it's a great idea.
I do too. All right, then we'll make a motion to approve the agreement with Fifth Third Bank for payment processing and to authorize the superintendent and chief finance officer to sign documents on behalf of the board to establish the program.
So moved.
All right, we have a motion made by Mr. Rutherford
Second.
and a second by Mrs. Coyle. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those not in favor? All right, motion carries.
Thank you.
Now, thank you. Now you can leave. All right. I kept wondering why you're still standing there. I was like, okay. All right,
He was waiting
superintendent.
for an applause.
He was, yes, he was waiting for you guys to applaud, like you did for our principals. Yes. Mr. Gillum's right. All right, now for our superintendent's report.
All right, thank you. Well, we're in February. February is Black History Month, and just to let everyone know, we are including that recognition throughout all of our schools across the district, recognizing those accomplishments throughout history. And as well, on January 20th, we also celebrated the life of Dr. Martin Luther King. We did a lot of things in our schools leading up to that, but with Dr. King Day, several people participated in different activities throughout the county, and we appreciate their involvement. Right now, we're currently in the middle of the first round of our allocation meetings. That's where we meet with our principals to look at staffing numbers based on student population for next year and start to plan for our staffing across the district. Of course, all of that is very formulaic. We have students, we have numbers of class sizes and allocated students based on those populations, and we plug those numbers in. So that is going on right now. And then let everyone know, on January 27th, it was the Richmond Chamber of Commerce annual kickoff. Our district was represented. We had a booth there, or a table set up, and we're able to meet with a lot of folks in and around the community. And I appreciate Mr. Neely, Mr. Reister, for being out there that evening, and I was there as well, but, meeting folks and shaking hands and making sure we're an active part of the Chamber of Commerce and the local community and business community specifically. As well, over the past couple of weeks, I've attended the State of the City addresses for both the City of Berea and the City of Richmond. Appreciate the work there of Mayor Blythe and Mayor Fraley. They're doing a great job. And I think one of the things that they say at their meetings, or that both of them have mentioned, and as well other county agencies, right now I feel that our county, all parts of it are really working well together. Both of our cities, our county governments, and all the departments, and as a school system, we are, we're the one system, I guess, that really encompasses all of that really together, more so than any other, and we're trying to play an active part in those partnerships as well. So I appreciate their work. January 29th, I was in Frankfurt for KASA advocacy efforts, and we're in the middle of the legislative session. Still a long way to go on that, but trying to make sure that our voice is heard regarding issues that impact Madison County and public education, and also what impacts our teachers. We want to make sure that we don't have that legislation is a positive piece for us and not anything that negatively impacts what we're doing for kids. Also on January 28th, I had a dual credit meeting with EKU, and I want to say thank you to them for their efforts to extend their dual credit offering. We basically reached agreements for them to extend their offering, particularly in career education areas, specifically pre-nursing, public safety, and as well the education pathway, and offering expanded offerings on what our high school students will be able to take courses in and actually earn college credit. And of course, teacher recruitment is a big effort for us, and we appreciate these education majors that come out to visit our board meetings each month. We appreciate having you guys here, and you're choosing a very noble career. I hope you continue to pursue that and are successful in it. And Mr. Velmar Miller, just to let you know, one area that we really try to recruit is with our minority teacher recruitment. And Mr. Miller, he was at Kentucky State University today doing a recruitment for us. As well, just a couple other things. We were well represented last week at the KMEA conference. We had several folks recognized at KMEA, and as well the Caudle Band performed there. So again, congratulations to them. We mentioned Read Aloud Day. That was February 5th. I know several of you got out to either Silver Creek or Daniel Boone, or in some cases both. Those were a couple schools that specifically had programs that day that invited us out, so we appreciate that. Mr. Anderson sitting back there, I want to give him just a little bit of a shout out. He was recognized at Bluegrass tomorrow. We're going to, I think we'll probably have him, we'll do a formal recognition of that sometime next month or two at one of our meetings, but that was a big honor for him to get recognized at the Bluegrass Tomorrow breakfast. And also want to congratulate our Chief Academic Officer, Alicia Hunter, who completed her dissertation, successfully defended her dissertation earlier this week. So it is Dr. Hunter. So congratulations to Dr. Hunter.
I did not know that.
Absolutely. So we appreciate that.
Now
and
we got two of you.
That's right. And that's my superintendent report.
All right, thank you, Dr. Gillum. Get to call him that too. All right, do we have any comments from the board? No one. All right, so
Congratulations,
then,
that's fabulous.
yeah,
To
absolutely.
Dr. Hunter.
We can celebrate. All right, so we need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right, a motion's been made by Mrs. Brock, second by Mrs. Cobb. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion carries.